Hey, beautiful, before we begin, let me ask you something that might feel uncomfortable but deeply honest. Have you ever felt like love is a game where you keep showing up, but never quite get picked? Like you've been playing by the rules everyone gave you: be kind, be patient, be low maintenance, and yet the ending never changes? You give so much, you care so deeply, and still he walks away, and the worst part, he doesn't walk away to someone better, he walks away to someone bolder, someone less available, someone who seems like she didn't even try. You're left wondering, what is she doing that I'm not? Why does it feel like being the good woman never gets you the love you deserve? Well, you're not crazy and you're not broken. You've just been following a story that was never written for women like you, women who love deeply, feel deeply, and were taught to wait quietly for love to arrive. But that story ends here. Because today, I'm going to tell you something different, something that could change the way you think about men, attraction, and your power forever. No fluff, no games. No, just be yourself, advice that leaves you with more questions than answers. This is emotional truth, psychological power, and it starts with seeing what no one told you, the real reason why he didn't choose you. Let's begin. The gut punch of rejection. Let's not sugarcoat it. You did everything right. You cared. You stayed. You gave your time, your energy, your heart, even when it wasn't convenient, even when you weren't sure he deserved it. You were patient when he was distant, supportive when he was overwhelmed, empathetic when he couldn't even explain what he was feeling. You were his safe place, his emotional anchor, his quiet champion in the background. And yet he chose someone else, not someone kinder, not someone more loyal, someone who didn't seem to try half as hard. It feels like a punch to the stomach, not because of ego, because of emotional injustice. It's like you were following an invisible rulebook, one you thought guaranteed love if you just played fair. If you were the good one, the understanding one, the woman who never caused trouble, but love didn't show up in return. Instead, he walked away, sometimes without explanation, sometimes with a vague excuse like it's not you, it's me, but it still felt like it was you. That's the moment it hits. What did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? What does she have that I don't? But here's a truth that might change everything. There is nothing wrong with you. Your heart isn't broken, it's exhausted from overgiving. Your value isn't gone, it was just never fully seen. And your instincts, they weren't wrong, but your training was. You were taught to believe that if you're quiet, agreeable, loving, and low maintenance, you'll be chosen. You were told that the woman who never asks for too much wins in the end. You were trained to believe that your emotional sacrifices would eventually be recognized and returned. But here's what no one told you: desire doesn't reward effort. Attraction doesn't honor sacrifice. Men don't fall in love because you were nice. This is not to say kindness or devotion don't matter, they do, but they are not the spark. And without the spark, nothing ignites. So what really makes a man choose? What creates the kind of emotional imprint that lingers, that makes him think about you long after you've walked away? It's not perfection, it's not playing it safe, and it's definitely not self-erasure. It's presence, clarity, the courage to be emotionally vivid, not neutral, and that's what you were never taught. Not by your family, not by school, not by society. You weren't shown how to own your emotional truth. You weren't encouraged to say, "This is what I want." Without shame, you were taught to wait, to hope, to be chosen. But the truth is, the woman who waits rarely gets what she wants. The woman who chooses does. This chapter is not about blame, it's about waking up, because once you understand how attraction actually works, not in theory, but in the real, psychological fabric of human desire, you stop trying to be enough, and you start being yourself, powerfully and unapologetically, because the moment you stop trying to earn love is the moment you start to attract it. The lie we were raised with. From the time we were little girls, the script was written for us. Be nice, be sweet, be agreeable, don't speak too loudly, don't want too much, don't show him how deeply you feel, it might scare him away, make yourself easy to be around, smile even when you're uncomfortable, be the girl who understands. And so we tried. We became the women who don't ask for much, who give more than we receive, who wait instead of ask, who believe that love is something we earn through effort, through silence, through endless emotional availability. We learned to measure our value by how easy to love we could be, and we truly believed that if we were just patient enough, soft enough, calm enough, quiet enough, He would eventually notice. He would wake up one day and realize we were the one, that he'd choose us, that our goodness would be enough, but that's not how it happens, is it? Because time and time again, you watch him choose someone else, someone who doesn't follow the rules, someone who doesn't wait to be picked, someone who isn't trying to be perfect, and it shakes you, not just because he walked away, but because it makes no logical sense. You did everything right, and yet he felt more drawn to someone who did everything wrong. Here's the truth: attraction doesn't care about logic, it doesn't reward emotional labor. It doesn't hand out gold stars for being low maintenance, because attraction, real, raw, electric attraction doesn't live in the mind, it lives in the gut, in the unconscious, in that unexplainable emotional spark that you can't reason with, and as Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. And you will call it fate, so while you're following the script you were handed as a girl, someone else is speaking directly to his unconscious mind, not by being more beautiful, not by being better, but by breaking the rules you were taught to follow. This chapter, this moment, is about waking up. It's about recognizing that the very things you thought made you lovable are the very things keeping you invisible, but it's not your fault. You were never taught how attraction really works. You were taught to be good, not magnetic, not emotionally powerful, not unforgettable. That changes now. Jung's truth about desire. Let's get to the core of it. What truly creates desire? Why does one woman get overlooked while another, seemingly effortlessly, captures all his attention? The answer doesn't lie in looks. It's not about weight, makeup, or wardrobe. It's not about being agreeable or always available. It's about emotional impact. Here's what most people don't understand. Men don't fall in love because you're the best choice. They fall in love because you made them feel something they couldn't ignore. Desire is emotional, not logical. It's not built on checklists. It's built on emotional chemistry, on the subtle psychological signals you send often without realizing it. Carl Jung spoke often of the unconscious mind, the part of us that governs behavior far more than we like to admit. He believed we are not guided by logic, but by symbols, instincts, and emotional memory. And when it comes to attraction, that couldn't be more true. Think about it. He might admire the girl who's always there for him. He might appreciate her kindness, her patience, her reliability. But if she never stirs something in him, something deeper, irrational, even mysterious, she stays in the friend zone, because appreciation isn't the same as desire. Here's the truth: a man doesn't choose the woman who makes the most sense. He chooses the one who makes him feel the most alive. And this doesn't mean you have to be dramatic or manipulative. It means you have to stop editing yourself to be more palatable. It means you must stop trying to be the safe option, because safe doesn't seduce. Desire thrives in a different space, a space of tension, of curiosity, of emotional contrast. You don't have to chase him. You don't have to convince him. You only have to connect with the part of him that isn't spoken to enough, is unconscious. Emotional self, when you speak from your truth with emotional clarity, when you stop trying to be the nice girl and start showing up as the real woman, confident, expressive, grounded, you become the one he can't stop thinking about, because you're not trying to be chosen. You're choosing yourself, and that is rare. That is magnetic. That is what stirs something ancient and electric in a man's emotional memory. So if you've ever felt invisible, overlooked, passed by, maybe it's not that you weren't enough. Maybe it's that you were speaking to his logic when what? He truly responds to his feeling. In the next chapter, we'll uncover exactly how to activate that feeling with 2 simple words that flip a switch in his emotional mind. Why? Being perfect makes you invisible. So what are the 2 words that can shift everything? I want. Simple. Yes, but don't let that simplicity fool you. These 2 words, when spoken from a place of grounded confidence, can electrify the space between you and a man. Here's why. Most women are terrified of desire, not the feeling of desire, the expression of it. We've been taught to wait, to be chosen, to hint but never claim. We soften everything we say. If you want, I don't know, maybe, whatever works for you. We dilute our voice to avoid rejection, but that fear-based softness comes at a high cost. We become invisible. You cannot inspire desire while hiding yours. The moment a woman says, I want, without apology, without shrinking, without wrapping it in 17 layers of politeness, something radical happens. A man listens. He feels it, not just the words. but the confidence behind them. Because most men aren't used to women who speak from emotional leadership. They're used to ambiguity, hints, soft nudges, but when a woman steps forward not to demand, not to control, but to simply name her truth, she awakens something rare in him. Desire feeds on clarity, and certainty might keep a conversation going, but certainty ignites action. Let's look at an example. Scenario 1, I don't know if you want to hang out sometime. Maybe we could, I don't know, do something. Scenario 2, I want to see you this Friday. Do you feel the difference? The first sounds unsure, like she's waiting to be accepted. The second, clear, honest, direct, feels magnetic. It doesn't beg, it doesn't plead, it lands. And what's more, it gives him something to respond to. It creates a direction for the connection to move in. You're not just another woman sending polite texts. You're a woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to name it. That's rare, that's unforgettable, but here's the key, this only works when you mean it. You can't fake confidence with perfect posture and Instagram captions. You have to feel it in your body, in your tone, in your eyes. I want is not a trick, it's a reflection of inner clarity, and when that clarity is present, men feel it. They may not be able to explain it, but they'll remember you because you didn't make them guess. You showed up fully, honestly, magnetically, and that changes everything. The emotional burger vs. the polite salad. So why do these two little words, I want, have such a powerful impact? The answer lies deep within human psychology, especially in the way men process attraction and emotion. Let's start with this. Most people think men are drawn to beauty, to charm, to sweetness. But the truth is, what men crave is emotional clarity. They want to feel a pull, something that bypasses logic and grabs them by the gut. This isn't about being the hottest woman in the room, it's about being the one who feels the most alive, the one who awakens something in him that he didn't know was asleep, and that comes from directional desire. Think of masculine and feminine energy as two forces. Masculine energy seeks to move towards something. Feminine energy, in its most magnetic form, draws in by being clear, embodied, and emotionally expressive. When you say I want not as a command, but as an invitation, you become the emotional North Star in that moment. You give his desire a place to go, a form, a shape, a feeling. That's the magic of psychological polarity. Carl Jung spoke often about the shadow self, the hidden, unconscious forces that drive our behavior. Desire, he said, doesn't live in the rational mind. It lives in symbol, in emotion, in instinct. So when you speak with conviction, when you name what you want without guilt or fear, you activate something primal in a man, because what you're really saying is, I'm not afraid of my feelings. I'm not waiting for you to tell me what's okay to feel. I already know what I want, and I'm brave enough to say it, and that kind of energy is unshakable. Let's get even more specific. When a woman says, I want to see you, I want to share this with you, I want to know more about you, she is not chasing. She's leading with heart. She's offering something rare, emotional transparency with grace. Men don't fall in love with logic, they fall in love with how they feel when they're around you. If they feel challenged, intrigued, emotionally stirred, you stay on their mind. And few things are more stirring than a woman who isn't afraid of her own voice, because clarity is courage, and courage is sexy. Here's what I want communicates beneath the surface, confidence, you trust yourself enough to speak your truth, clarity, you're not sending mixed signals, initiative, you led not with pressure, but with power, presence, you're not lost in fear or fantasy, you're here now, and that's what makes I want magnetic, not just the phrase, but the woman who's brave enough to mean it. Stop shrinking yourself. Let's talk about the moment everything starts to slip, not because you're not enough, but because no one taught you how to hold your power. Here's what usually happens. A woman feels something real, desire, interest, excitement, and then, instead of expressing it clearly, she softens it, shrinks it, dresses it up in politeness and hesitation. Instead of saying, I want to see you, she says, I don't know, maybe if you're not too busy. We could hang out or whatever. Instead of, I want to be closer to you, she says, I'm fine either way, no pressure, what just happened? She gave away her power, not because she lacks value, but because she didn't believe she had the right to want openly, and that's what so many women have been taught. Don't be too direct, don't want too much, don't take up space in someone else's emotional world. The result? You become forgettable, not because you are, but because you've muted the very spark that makes you magnetic. Let's be clear, you can't inspire deep desire from a place of emotional shrinking. Men, just like women, respond to certainty, energy, clarity, not over-explaining, not tiptoeing, not "I'm fine with anything." Here's the irony: many women think they're being kind, flexible, and low maintenance, but what's actually happening is they're becoming invisible to his emotional radar. Because ambiguity doesn't create chemistry. You don't need to be loud or aggressive to be powerful, but you do need to stand inside your truth. That's what makes people lean in. That's what makes a man pause and pay attention, not just with his ears, but with his whole nervous system. So here's a gentle but necessary truth: if you're constantly waiting for permission to speak, if you're constantly apologizing for wanting something, if you're constantly downplaying your feelings just to be nice, you're not protecting the connection, you're starving it. The deepest connections are born from emotional oxygen, and when you cut off your truth, you suffocate the spark before it ever catches fire. Want to be unforgettable? Then don't dilute your power to make someone else comfortable. Instead, speak from your center, share what you feel, let your "I want" be a gift, not a burden, because when spoken with warmth, presence, and openness, desire isn't demanding. It's inviting, and that invitation is what turns interest into chemistry. The woman who knows what she wants. Here's the truth that stings a little but liberates a lot. The difference between the woman he desires and the one he keeps around as just a friend is rarely about looks. It's not about age. It's not about charisma. It's not about how much she gives, how much she listens, or how available she makes herself. It's about one thing: she knows what she wants and she's not afraid to say it. That kind of woman. She doesn't tiptoe. She doesn't whisper her needs in hopes they'll be received gently. She doesn't package her desire in polite, palatable boxes. She owns it, not in a way that demands or manipulates, but in a way that says, "I'm here, I know who I am, I know what I feel, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise to make someone more comfortable." That is rare, and that is magnetic, because here's something most people won't tell you: confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being grounded enough in your own desire that you don't need to be loud, you don't need to chase, you don't need to convince. You simply are. You say things like, "I want to see you, I like this connection, and I'd like to explore it. I'm not looking to be someone's maybe," and you say it without flinching. That's not pressure, that's emotional leadership. Let's be honest, most men aren't used to this. They're used to vague hints, passive energy, and women waiting for permission to want. So when a woman shows up with clarity, she doesn't just stand out, she wakes something up in him, something primal, something hungry, something alive, because for a man, knowing what you want from him allows him to meet you with presence. It gives the dynamic direction, structure, spark, and for many men, that's a relief. He doesn't have to guess, he doesn't have to decode. He just has to respond to the magnetic pull of a woman who is clear in her want, and here's what makes it even more powerful. She doesn't say "I want" and then wait nervously for approval. She says it and then lets go. She lets it land. She moves forward with her life, regardless of the outcome, because her worth was never on the line to begin with. That is the emotional elegance of a woman who knows what she wants. She chooses, she invites, she opens the door and lets the right energy walk through it. She doesn't beg, she doesn't perform, she doesn't lower herself to be more likable, because she understands something most people never learn: being desirable is not about being chosen. It's about being fully expressed, and when that kind of woman speaks, she becomes unforgettable. The two words that flip everything. Let's pause for a moment and strip everything down to something radically simple. Just two words: I want. They sound ordinary, almost too small to matter, but when spoken from a place of clarity, self-worth, and grounded emotion, these two words can change the energy in the entire room, because here's what they really say: I am not waiting to be picked. I am not hiding behind politeness. I know myself, and I trust what I feel. Let's get honest, most people, especially women, were taught that expressing what they want is risky, too loud, too needy, too much. So instead of saying "I want," we replace it with softer, safer versions. "If you want to, I'm okay with whatever. I don't know, what do you think?" These sound kind, but they feel unclear, and in the world of emotional connection, unclear means forgettable. Now contrast that with the woman who says, "I want to see you this weekend. I want to explore where this could go. I Want to feel seen, not half-held. Suddenly, the energy shifts. You're no longer in the passenger seat of your own love life. You're at the wheel, and no, that doesn't mean being aggressive or demanding or controlling. It means having direction, emotional direction, and that is intoxicating. Why does it work? Because the male psyche, just like the female, responds to certainty. We are drawn to what's clear, to what stands tall, without trying too hard. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious mind, where true desire lives, doesn't respond to logic or explanation. It responds to symbol, clarity, and emotional energy. And I want is exactly that, a symbol of certainty. When you say those words with aligned body language, calm tone, steady eyes, open posture, you activate something deep in him, not because you're trying to manipulate, but because you've stepped out of hiding, you've given your feelings a voice, and in a world full of passive hints and emotional guessing games, that's unforgettable. When should you use it? Use I want when you're clear about your desire, you're ready to express it without needing a specific outcome, you've already built a connection and want to move it forward with elegance. Don't use it to force an answer, to pressure someone into giving you what you want, to mask insecurity with fake boldness, because here's the secret. I want is powerful not because it guarantees a yes, but because it communicates you're not afraid of a no, and that fearlessness is rare. It tells a man, this woman doesn't orbit around approval, she speaks, she leads, she trusts her own direction, and that stirs something primal. It doesn't matter if you're tall or short, 25 or 55, wearing lipstick or no makeup at all. When you speak from your center, you light up the space around you because you've just become a mirror reflecting to him what it looks like when someone is emotionally alive. So say it, say I want and mean it, let it land, and then move forward like the woman who doesn't chase, doesn't wait, and never hides. She chooses. Why I want is so powerful. So now you know the power of the phrase I want, but let's be real, the delivery can either ignite desire or shut it down completely. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it, and even more importantly, who you are when you say it. Let's begin with the truth most women were never told. Confidence is not the same as control. You don't need to bark orders, raise your voice, or act like you're running a boardroom. You don't need to prove your worth, you just need to own your desire. Let's look at two examples. Scenario A, I want you to take me out. You never plan anything. Can you just make an effort for once? Scenario B, I want to spend time with you this weekend, just us. Something simple but real. Same desire, different energy. One sounds like a complaint, the other like a woman who knows what she values and isn't afraid to express it. Want versus need versus demand. Let's get very clear. Want says, I choose this. Need says, I can't be okay without this. Demand says, you owe me this. One opens the door, the others close it. Healthy desire is not needy. Needy energy says, I need you to behave a certain way so I can feel good about myself. Confident desire says, this is what I want, and I trust myself whether I get it or not. That trust is what makes you magnetic. It says to him, I know I'm enough with or without you, and that kind of self-assured woman, she's unforgettable. What the brain hears when you say I want with softness and groundedness, his mind doesn't hear control, it hears invitation. When you say it with clarity and calm certainty, it doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like confidence. Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and when a woman says I want, she's not just asking for something, she's becoming someone real, someone whole, someone emotionally visible. Tips for saying I want the right way: use a steady tone, not too fast, not overly soft, just calm and certain. Relax your shoulders, let your body say, I'm safe in myself. Make eye contact, but not in a confrontational way. Let it be an offering. Don't over-explain. The more you justify, the less powerful it sounds. Example, I want to see you, period. Let it land, not, I want to see you, but only if you're free, no pressure. I totally get it if you're busy. Just ignore me, haha. See the difference? When you dilute your desire with disclaimers, you teach people that your wants aren't worth taking seriously, but when you say it with ease and detachment, you create emotional gravity. You're not forcing, you're not begging, you're inviting from a place of fullness, and that's irresistible. The wrong way versus the right way. You can say all the right words, but if your body tells a different story, no one believes the script. That's the hidden language we rarely talk about, yet it speaks louder than anything we say out loud. Carl Jung once said, "The body expresses what the soul cannot say," so ask yourself, when you say "I want," does your posture say confidence? Or does it whisper self-doubt? Let's break it down, what your body says before your mouth opens. Imagine this, you're with a man you're attracted to. You say, "I want to see you again," but while saying it, you look down, fidget with your hands, shift your weight. Nervously, say it like a question instead of a statement. What does his unconscious register? Insecurity, hesitation, lack of emotional clarity. Now imagine this instead. You say, "I want to see you again," but this time will hold his gaze for a moment. Your shoulders are relaxed. You speak slowly, not in a rush to fill silence. You smile the kind that reaches your eyes. What changes? Everything. Because here's the truth, you don't need to perform confidence, you just need to stop blocking your natural presence. The 3 core signals of magnetic body language. 1. Eye contact. It doesn't mean staring him down, it means holding a gaze long enough to let your words land. Don't dart your eyes like you're apologizing for speaking. Let your eyes say, "I meant what I said." 2. Stillness. Stillness is power when you're constantly adjusting your posture, touching your face, or playing with your phone. You dilute your presence. Stillness tells the world, "I'm comfortable in this moment and in myself." 3. Voicey and pace. Rush equals nervous energy. Slowness equals grounded energy. You don't need to talk slowly to sound seductive. Just stop racing through your sentences like you're afraid to take up time. Let each word breathe. Let the silence support you, not swallow you. The strongest statements are often followed by silence, because when you don't fill the gap, it makes the other person lean in. Practice makes presence. Here's something powerful to try. The next time you're alone, practice saying the words "I want." Look at yourself in the mirror. Notice, are your shoulders tense? Are your eyes soft or guarded? Does your voice sound rushed or calm? This isn't about vanity. It's about alignment. You want your external expression to match your internal clarity. When those two line up, you become magnetic. Body language must match. Let's go beyond romance for a moment, because the phrase "I want" isn't just a tool for attraction, it's a compass for life. Most women have spent years, even decades, softening their wants, reshaping them, hiding them behind polite smiles and phrases like, "I don't mind, I'm good with whatever, it's okay, I'll wait," and slowly, they lose touch with what they actually want, not because they don't have desires, but because they've been trained to mute them. But what happens when you begin to use "I want" in your everyday life? Everything. Because that one phrase awakens something more powerful than you might expect. Direction, ownership, energy. Let's look at a few examples. At work, if you think "I've done enough, maybe I could be considered for a raise." I want to talk about a raise. I've consistently delivered results, and I believe it's time. What changed? You didn't wait for permission, you claimed value. With friends, "Whatever you guys want to do is fine with me. I want to go to that new rooftop spot tonight. I've been wanting to check it out." Suddenly, you're not just following the group, you're leading with clarity, with yourself, even when no one else is listening. How you speak to yourself matters. "I should probably do that someday. I want to do this, and I'm going to make space for it." The difference between should and want is the difference between guilt and empowerment. When you say "I want," you shift the dynamic. Here's what actually happens when you begin to own your desires everywhere. People respond to you with more respect, because clarity is rare and rare is valuable. You become emotionally visible, no more fading into the background, no more being the easy one who's always accommodating. Your relationships shift. You stop attracting people who want to control you and start attracting people who are drawn to your power. Your self-worth strengthens, because every time you speak from truth, you remind yourself, "I matter." A daily practice. To make this stick, here's a simple challenge. Say "I want" 5 times a day, even for small things. "I want tea instead of coffee today." "I want to go for a walk alone." "I want to take a break right now." "I want to finish this project by noon." "I want space to think." Every time you say it, you reinforce your right to exist not as an echo of others' needs, but as a full feeling, desiring human being. So the next time someone asks, "What do you feel like doing?" try answering not with a shrug, but with a deep breath and the words, "I want," because the way you speak shapes the way you live, and your life begins to change the moment you stop waiting for permission and start moving with clear intention. This isn't just about love. Let's get honest about something most women fear: rejection. It's that sharp sting, that sinking feeling in your chest, that echo of thoughts like, I shouldn't have said anything, maybe I was too much, what if I scared him off? And because of that fear, many women retreat, they stop expressing, they stop asking, they stop wanting, at least out loud. But let's be brutally clear about something. Rejection is not the real enemy is indecision. The kind of quiet, daily self-abandonment that keeps you stuck in waiting, wishing, wondering. Here's why: rejection is feedback, indecision is paralysis. When you express what you want and someone says no, it might sting. Yes, but now you know, you've cleared space, you've stood in your truth, and most importantly, you've moved forward. But when you hold it all in, when you hesitate, when you silence your own needs, you stay stuck, waiting, guessing, projecting fantasies onto people who haven't even earned them. You become invisible, not because you're not worthy, but because you're not showing up. The mind's trick: if I wait, it won't hurt. This is a trap. The brain tells you, if I don't say anything, I can't get hurt. But silence doesn't protect you from pain, it just delays. It worse, it creates resentment. Toward him, toward yourself, toward life. You become a prisoner of what if I had said it? What if I had asked? What if I had just shown up as myself? That loop is far more painful than any honest. No, rejection is redirection. Here's a secret that confident women know: when someone isn't available for your truth, that's not a loss, that's a gift, because every time you express what you want, you send a signal to the universe: I am ready for what's meant for me, and anyone who can't meet you there, they simply step aside. Rejection, in this light, becomes refinement, a way of clearing the path for something truer. Indecision steals your power. When you don't express what you want, you allow others to set the tone. You live in reaction, not creation. You become a passive player in your own story. And in love, especially, this is deadly, because a woman who never claims what she wants becomes the woman men never fully see. She fades, not because she lacks value, but because she never owned it. I want is an act of courage. Every time you say it, even in small moments, you're breaking an old pattern, a pattern of fear, of politeness as protection, of waiting for someone else to go first. And yes, sometimes your I want will be met with silence, or a no, or disinterest, but that doesn't mean you were wrong to say it. It means you were right to be honest, and that honesty will lead you somewhere powerful, to deeper self-respect, to richer connection, to a life shaped not by fear, but by intention. Next time you're scared of speaking up, ask yourself, what am I more afraid of: being rejected or disappearing from my own life? And let that answer guide your next move. Your 7-day challenge. Let's get one thing clear: expressing what you want doesn't make you needy. It makes you awake. It doesn't make you aggressive. It makes you aligned. There's this old lie whispered into every girl's ear: don't be too forward, don't be too much, let him lead. But real feminine strength isn't about staying quiet until you're invited. It's about knowing what you want and expressing it without losing your softness. Because yes, strength and softness can coexist. In fact, that's what makes your voice irresistible. The myth of too much. Have you ever been told you're too emotional, too intense, too direct? That's not a flaw, that's power, and some people aren't ready for it. But guess what? You're not here to shrink so others feel more comfortable. You're here to be honest, to be felt, to be seen. And when you express desire with grace, not demand, you awaken something primal in a man. Not fear, not resistance, but presence. The feminine way to say I want. Powerful communication doesn't have to be loud. In fact, the most magnetic expressions are often soft, warm, grounded. Let's compare. Why didn't you call me? I waited all night. I love when you reach out first. It makes me feel wanted. Are you going to take me out or not? I want to spend time with you, just the two of us. See the difference? Same desire, different energy. One repels, the other invites. Feminine strength doesn't chase, it calls in. The formula: warmth plus clarity equals magnetism. You don't need to control a man to captivate him. You just need to speak from your core. Here's a simple formula to keep in mind: warmth, let your voice carry softness, let your eyes speak trust, let your presence feel open. Clarity, don't hide behind vague phrases, say what you actually want. Examples: I want to see where this could go with us. I want you to know I'm attracted to you. I want to feel close to you emotionally and physically. These aren't demands, they're truths, and truth is always magnetic, anchored. Expression, your calm is your power. What truly makes a woman unforgettable isn't just what she says, it's how rooted she is when she says it. When a woman speaks with emotional certainty, not begging, not performing, but simply being, she shifts the room. Men feel it. The world feels it. That kind of presence doesn't need volume, it needs alignment. You don't have to force desire, you just have to stop hiding it. Feminine strength doesn't apologize for desire. You were born with wants, you were born with longings. Suppressing them doesn't make you more lovable, it makes you invisible. So let go of that old belief that says, he'll only stay if I don't ask for too much. The man who's right for you will be drawn to your clarity, to the way you own your hunger without shame, to the way you let your soul speak without a filter. That's not just attractive, that's rare. From fear to power, let's talk about nuance, because there's a fine line between expressing what you want and sounding like you're giving orders. That line is the difference between inviting a man into your world and pushing him away with pressure. One opens hearts, the other builds walls. So how do you walk that line? With elegance? How do you say I want in a way that pulls him closer, not makes him feel controlled? It starts with understanding the emotional energy behind your words. Tone is everything. Take these two examples. I want you to take me somewhere nice this weekend. I'd love to go somewhere beautiful with you this weekend, just us. Same desire, completely different tone. The first creates pressure, obligation. The second creates curiosity, connection. Your words matter, but your energy matters more. When you speak with openness, it creates space for him to rise. When you speak with demand, it shuts that space down. Think of it this way. A man wants to feel like he's choosing to meet your desires, not like he's being tested or evaluated. Invitation is magnetic. Let's flip the script on what we were taught. You don't have to stay silent to be feminine, but you also don't have to be dominant to be powerful. The most magnetic energy is a woman who says, here's what I want and I'd love for you to meet me there. That's it. No manipulation, no games, just truth spoken from a place of self-worth. You're not saying, give this to me or I'll walk. You're saying, this is the experience I'd love to share. Would you like to join me? That kind of energy is disarming and deeply attractive. Your desire isn't a burden, it's an invitation. Let go of the idea that wanting something makes you needy. What if your desire was a gift? What if saying I want to see you this Saturday wasn't a risk but an opening? You're offering him something rare, a chance to step into a moment of connection, playfulness, intimacy. If he can't receive it, that's not your failure, it's just feedback. But when you express desire without apology, the right man won't run, he'll rise. Language that invites. Here are a few powerful ways to express desire that feel inviting, not demanding. I'd love to. It would feel amazing to. I want to share this with you. You and me, we'd be dangerous in the best way. This idea's been teasing my imagination. Want in? Notice the pattern? These phrases are clear, confident, but they also leave room. Room for him to step forward. Room for the desire to grow together. That's what creates emotional tension, the good kind. The kind that leads to deep connection and unforgettable chemistry. Speak desire, then let it land. Here's the final key. After you speak your desire, let it land. Don't rush to explain yourself. Don't fill the silence. Don't nervously laugh or say, just kidding, if he doesn't respond instantly. Say it, mean it, then relax into your own presence. Let him feel the weight and warmth of your words. Let him choose how to respond without pressure. That's the kind of energy that leaves a mark, not because you were chasing, but because you were rooted. Expressing with the body nonverbal confidence, you can say all the right words. I want, you and me, I'd love to see you, but if your body is saying the opposite, if your voice shakes, your shoulders fold inward, your eyes dart away, then the message gets lost, because attraction isn't just verbal, it's embodied, and your body tells the truth louder than words ever could. Jung's wisdom, the body reflects the soul. Carl Jung once said, the body expresses what the soul cannot say, and nowhere is this more true than in attraction. When your inner world is uncertain, your body reflects that uncertainty. When your desire feels shameful, your posture hides it. But when you're grounded, when you've made peace with your wanting, your body becomes a lighthouse, unshakable, quietly powerful. Men tune into vibe, not just words. Here's what most women don't realize. Men are highly sensitive to emotional signals. They read your tone, your posture, your micro expressions, your breath. So when you say, I want to see you, But your voice drops and your arms fold across your chest. He doesn't feel your desire, he feels your fear, and fear kills attraction, not because men are cruel, but because uncertainty doesn't feel safe. Nonverbal confidence. What it looks like. So how do you align your body with your voice? How do you speak not just with words, but with presence? Here are the most magnetic nonverbal cues. Eye contact, not a stare, just steady, relaxed eye contact that says, I'm not afraid to be seen. Open posture, shoulders back, chin slightly lifted, heart open, no crossing arms, no shrinking. Stillness, confident people don't fidget, they pause, they breathe, they own the silence. Voice control, speak slower, with intention. Let your words breathe. Fast talkers seem nervous, calm talkers seem powerful. Genuine facial expression, don't force a smile, let your face reflect your true emotion even if it's mischief. Curiosity or warmth, because when your words and body are aligned, you become unmistakable. Grounded presence equals irresistible energy. Confidence is not about being loud. It's not about having all the answers. It's not about faking anything. Confidence is presence. It's showing up fully in the moment. Without needing to prove or perform, it's trusting your desire, it's knowing, I'm allowed to want, I don't need to beg, my presence is enough. When you feel that inside, your body carries it, and the man across from you, he feels it even if he can't explain why. It's why some women walk into a room and instantly turn heads even without saying a word. Their presence says everything. A quick practice, next time you're in front of a mirror. Try this simple practice. Look into your own eyes, not your outfit. Not your flaws, your eyes. Stand tall, breathe deeply into your belly, relax your shoulders, say out loud, I want, then pause, let the words land in your body. How? Do you feel? Empowered? Vulnerable? A little uncomfortable? That's okay, that's growth. Repeat this a few times a day, because the more you practice embodied clarity, the more it becomes your natural state. Owning the moment, letting the words land without fear. So you've said it, I want, you and me, I'd love to see you, the words are out there. Now what? This right here is the moment that makes or breaks your energy. Because most women undo their power in the very next breath. They watch his face too closely, they rush to fill the silence. They shrink into a nervous smile or change the subject too fast, all because they're scared of the pause, scared of being too much, scared of what he might be thinking. But here's the truth, the pause is not your enemy, the pause is your power. The pause is where the magic happens. In sales, they call it dropping the pen. You make the offer, then you go silent, because the moment of silence is where the decision starts to form. Same with desire. You don't have to fill the gap. You don't have to nervously backtrack. You don't have to prove that you're still low maintenance or easygoing. You just say what you want and let it land, let it echo, let it unfold in his mind. And most importantly, let it live in your body without shame. Why most women shrink after speaking? Because they've been taught that desire must be earned, that confidence is too much, that expressing interest equals risking rejection. So the moment they speak, their truth and inner voice panics. Did I sound needy? Was that too bold? Maybe I should have said it softer, but those thoughts are echoes from the past, not truths from the present. And if you let them steer you, you'll retreat, you'll soften your edges, you'll dilute your presence, and the spark you created will fade. What holding the moment looks like. So how do you own the moment? You stay still, you breathe, you meet his gaze without flinching, you trust the space between you, and most importantly, you act as though your desire was the most natural thing in the world. Because it is. No apology, no explanation, no begging energy, just a clear, embodied truth. I want, and I'm not afraid of wanting. That energy, it's magnetic. Confidence lives in the afterglow. You might think confidence is all about the moment of speaking, but real power lives in what comes after you speak. It's in the calm, the stillness, the grounded certainty that doesn't need reassurance. It's in your ability to keep going, to change the subject, to laugh, to let the interaction breathe. Because confident women don't stare at the scoreboard, they don't wait for validation, they let the message speak for itself. Example, the woman who doesn't flinch. Let's say you say to a man, you and me would have dangerously good chemistry, and then you sip your coffee, you smile to yourself, you let him process, you don't ask, what do you think? You don't nervously giggle, you don't add, just kidding. You don't lean forward with pleading energy, you let him feel the pull. That's how emotional gravity works. You create it, then you let it do its job. Don't chase, don't explain, don't apologize. When you say something powerful, resist the urge to chase the moment. Don't add disclaimers, don't explain yourself, don't ask, did that sound okay? That's fear talking, and fear waters down attraction. You're not asking to be liked, you're expressing your truth with elegance, with certainty, with heat, the kind of energy that draws people in not because you're trying, but because you're just being. Practice this energy daily. This isn't just about one moment with one man. It's about building the muscle of emotional congruence. Practice owning your words and the silence that follows everywhere. At work, I want to take the lead on that project. Pause, let it land. With friends, I want to go to this concert. Pause, let the energy shift. On dates, you and me, this could be trouble in the best way. Pause, let him feel it. Each time you speak and hold, you anchor deeper into your power, and it becomes who you are, not just something you do. The art of inviting without demanding. There's a fine line between clarity and control, and when it comes to attraction, how you walk that line changes everything. Because yes, a woman who knows what she wants is magnetic, but a woman who tries to control the outcome, she becomes heavy, pressured, rigid. Desire doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to invitation. What is an invitation? An invitation is not a demand, it's not a test, it's not manipulation. An invitation is this: I want this, you're welcome to join me, but I don't need you to. That's the energy of emotional maturity, of confidence without arrogance, of feminine power that stands strong not by controlling, but by radiating. What kills the mood? Force. You've seen it happen. A woman says something bold, I want to see you Friday, but then she checks her phone obsessively. She follows up with a dozen emojis. She asks, are you mad at me? If he doesn't reply fast enough, now the energy has shifted. Her original desire, beautiful, clear, has become a chase, and chasing energy turns fire into fog. Why? Because it comes from fear, not from grounded confidence. What keeps the spark alive? Surrender. Yes, you heard that right. Real power is not about control. It's about trust. You express your desire, you open the door, and then you let go. You allow him to move toward you not because he has to, but because he wants to. That space, that permission to choose, that's where desire breathes. Powerful invitations in action. Let's look at examples that invite. Without demanding, I want to see you Saturday. If you're up for it, I'll be at that rooftop place around 7. You and me should check out that exhibit. I'll go either way, but I'd love to have you there. I'm heading to that little jazz place Friday night. You'd make it more fun. See what's happening. You're making your desire known, but you're not begging. You're not clinging. You're offering a vision and letting him step into it. The feminine power of detached invitation. There's something incredibly magnetic about a woman who can say, this is what I want, this is where I'll be, and I'll be just as radiant whether you show up or not. That energy is rare, it's intoxicating, it's the opposite of neediness. Because you're not offering your value to be accepted, you're offering your presence as a gift, and that more than any trick, tip, or tactic is what ignites true attraction. Why this works psychologically speaking. Carl Jung spoke of the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine energies within all of us. When a woman expresses desire clearly, she's activating her animus, the part of her that knows, speaks, leads. But when she invites, not demands, she also holds her anima, the soft, receptive part that allows, surrenders, trusts. This integration of power and presence is what creates polarity, and polarity is what sparks desire. Practice, invite, then release. Next time you want something with a man, a friend, or in life, state it clearly. I want to go here. Detach from the response. Don't beg. Don't follow up nervously. Trust your worth, whether or not they accept. You've already won, because the power was never in getting the yes. The power is in your ability to speak your truth and stand in it without fear. Daily practices to rewire your voice and energy. Confidence isn't a mood, it's a muscle, and just like any muscle, it needs daily training. You can understand everything in theory, you can nod your head while reading this book, but nothing will change until your body and nervous system get the message. So this chapter is about doing the work softly, but consistently until clarity and confidence feel as natural as breathing. Repetition rewires reality. Carl Jung said, You are what you do, not what you say you'll do, and neuroscience confirms it. Repetition creates new neural pathways. Small actions, repeated with intention, reshape your identity. This isn't about grand gestures, it's about quiet, daily rituals that reprogram how you show up in the world. Practice number 1, the I want challenge every day. Speak the words I want at least 5 times out loud, with clarity, no softening, no shrinking. Examples: I want a cappuccino, not a latte. I want to take a walk now. I want to call my sister today. I want to try that dress on. I want to see you this weekend. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Say it calmly, clearly, without waiting for permission. This practice trains your body to accept that your desire matters. Practice number 2, reclaim your voice. Every day, take 2 minutes to speak just for yourself. No filters, no edits, just truth. You can do this. In a journal or in a voice note to yourself or in the mirror, start with, right now, I feel. Today, I want. What I'm afraid to say is, the goal isn't perfection, it's honesty, because the more you hear your own truth, the less likely you are to silence it for others. Practice number 3, posture equals power. Your words mean nothing if your body whispers, I don't believe you. So, once a day, do a 1-minute posture reset. Stand tall, shoulders relaxed, chin parallel to the ground, hands relaxed at your sides. Breathe deep from your belly. Speak one desire out loud, I want. This practice connects voice plus body plus intention. It makes your presence undeniable. Practice number 4, invite without clinging. Choose one small invitation every day without expecting a certain response. Examples: I'd love to grab lunch if you're free. Want to join me for a walk later? I'm going to that event, you'd be great company. Then, and this is key, release the outcome. Why? Because every time you speak without attachment, you build emotional resilience. That's the kind of energy people feel from a mile away. Practice number 5, pleasure as a daily compass. You don't need a man to practice desire. You need to practice it with yourself first. So every day, ask yourself, what would feel delicious to do right now? Not productive, not responsible. Delicious. Maybe it's putting on perfume for no one. Maybe it's dancing in your kitchen. Maybe it's taking a long shower with music. This practice reconnects you with the sensation of wanting without shame, without apology. When you're comfortable desiring small things, you'll become unstoppable in asking for big things. Final thought, your identity is a practice. You're not becoming someone new. You're returning to the version of you that always existed beneath the fear. Every bold woman you admire wasn't born that way. She practiced, she got rejected, she felt awkward, she said the wrong thing, and still, she kept choosing her voice. So give yourself permission to start small, but promise yourself, I will speak, I will take up space, I will want without apology. That's the kind of woman the world listens to. When he pulls away. Staying rooted in your worth, let's talk about a moment that shakes even the most confident women. When a man pulls away, when communication slows, when his energy shifts, when the silence starts speaking louder than the words. Suddenly, your mind races. Did I say something wrong? Should I reach out again? What if he's losing interest? The panic doesn't just come from losing him, it comes from the old fear. Maybe I'm not enough, but here's the truth. A man pulling away doesn't mean your worth has changed. It means he's revealing where he stands, and your job is not to chase. Your job is to stay rooted in your power. Why men pull away and what it actually means. Sometimes men pull away for reasons that have nothing to do with you. They're overwhelmed. They're processing emotions. They're not ready for something real. But sometimes, yes, they're simply losing interest, and that stings. Still, the worst thing you can do is overcompensate. Start proving yourself. Text and call endlessly. Abandon your boundaries just to win him back, because when you chase, you signal, my value depends on your attention, and that, my love, is the opposite of magnetic. The feminine response, lean back. Don't collapse. Being feminine doesn't mean being passive. It means responding with emotional grace. When he pulls away, lean back emotionally, give space, stay grounded in your day, your joy, your world. That's not coldness. That's sovereignty. It sends a powerful message. I am open, but I won't abandon myself. Rewriting the rejection loop. What most women do, take his silence as personal failure, begin a spiral of self-blame, try to fix what they didn't break. But let me ask you something. Why are you treating his uncertainty as proof you're unlovable? Instead, treat it as data. He's showing you how he handles distance. He's showing you his emotional bandwidth. He's showing you how ready or not he is for something deeper. Let him show you. Don't fill in the blanks. You don't need to chase to be chosen. Carl Jung taught us to pay attention to unconscious patterns. If you grew up feeling like love had to be earned, you may feel drawn to emotionally unavailable men. Not because they're right for you, but because they feel familiar. When you stop chasing, you break that pattern, you send a message to your younger self: we don't beg for love anymore. We receive it, we choose it, we deserve it, and that changes everything. The most magnetic thing you can do. When he pulls away, don't text him a dozen times, don't interrogate or panic, don't assume the worst. Instead, shift your energy back to yourself, focus on your joy, your purpose, your peace, speak your truth once clearly, and then let go. For example, hey, I've noticed some distance lately. I value honesty, so if you need space or clarity, I respect that. I won't chase, but I also won't stay in confusion, and then go live your life, because the woman who keeps living, who doesn't abandon herself for anyone, that's the woman who remains unforgettable. The feminine art of letting yourself be seen. There's a quiet kind of power in a woman who lets herself be seen, not just physically, but emotionally, energetically, soulfully, and yet, so many women hide. They smile when they want to cry. They nod when they want to say no. They perform likable versions of themselves hoping it will be enough, but here's the truth. What makes a woman unforgettable is not how well she hides her emotions, it's how gracefully she reveals them. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's magnetic. You've been taught that vulnerability is dangerous, that it's too much, too messy, too risky, but real connection only happens when two souls meet without their masks. And men, the ones ready for something real, aren't drawn to perfection. They're drawn to presence, to feeling something genuine in your words, your energy, your eyes. This is me, the most courageous sentence you'll ever say. Letting yourself be seen doesn't mean oversharing. It means standing in your truth without shrinking. It sounds like, this is what I want, this is what I feel, this is who I am, not to force connection, not to gain approval, but because you honor your own voice more than anyone's opinion, and that's magnetic. Feminine confidence is quiet, not loud. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to compete. You don't need to win him over, because when you are anchored in your self-worth, you become the safe space he didn't even know he was looking for. You become the woman who isn't afraid to be soft, isn't afraid to be deep, isn't afraid to say, I want to be loved for who I truly am. And in a world full of masks and performances, that kind of woman is rare. Emotions don't make you weak, they make you real. Carl Jung taught that our wholeness comes from integrating our inner world, including the parts we often suppress, the tenderness, the longing, the hope, the ache. Don't numb it, don't edit it, don't apologize for it. Let a man see your heart without handing it to him for approval. That's how emotional intimacy begins. Want to be irresistible? Be real. Stop trying to be liked. Start being felt. Because the woman who isn't afraid to be seen, who shares her thoughts, her desires, her essence without fear, she doesn't beg for attention. She becomes unforgettable. She doesn't wait to be chosen. She is the choice. You were never too much. If you've made it this far, pause for a moment, take a breath, and hear this not just with your ears, but with the deepest part of you that's been waiting to exhale. You were never too much, not too emotional, not too intense, not too loud, too sensitive, too bold, too soft, too passionate. You were only ever exactly right. For the people who were meant to truly see you, you don't need to chase. If a man doesn't recognize your value, you don't need to run faster, shrink smaller, or love harder to make him stay. Let him go. Because the woman who chases is the one who's forgotten her own gravity, and you were born to pull, not to pursue. You don't need to prove. You don't need to audition for love. You don't need to earn a seat at someone's table. You don't need to list your qualities like a resume and hope he notices. The right man won't ask you to prove your worth. He'll feel it in your presence, in your energy, in your truth. You don't need to be perfect. Flawless is forgettable. Perfect is performative. What makes you magnetic is your realness, the laugh that escapes when you're caught off guard, the shimmer in your eyes when you talk about something you love, the quiet strength behind your no, the softness that lives in your yes. Stop editing yourself. Stop waiting to become some idealized version of you. You already are the woman. You just need to stop hiding. You've been taught to dim your light, to make others comfortable, to not take up too much space. But what if your boldness isn't the problem? What if your intensity isn't too much, but exactly what the right man is craving? What if the moment you stop hiding is the moment everything shifts? Desire doesn't live in the shadows. It doesn't belong to the woman who waits silently on the sidelines. It doesn't belong to the one who's always easygoing, who never asks for more, who buries her needs in the name of being chill. Desire is drawn to clarity, to the woman who says, "This is who I am. This is what I feel. This is what I want." That woman, she doesn't blend in. She doesn't beg. She doesn't apologize for taking up space. She walks into the room and shifts the atmosphere, not because she's loud, but because she's fully present. Because she knows that her voice is sacred, her desires are valid, her boundaries are beautiful, her love is a gift. So here's your final invitation. No more waiting, no more shrinking, no more hiding behind maybe and whatever. You want, say it, want it, own it, because the moment you give yourself permission to be fully you, the world starts to rearrange in your favor. The right people feel your presence, the wrong ones fade, and you rise.